Welcome to kathysright.com. I'm back. I'm Kathy. Today's special guest is Melinda Rivera. Melinda is the New Mexico ambassador for the Lexit movement and also the founder of Newmexit. She is a force to be reckoned with, and I am proud to call her my patriot friend. Welcome back to kathysright.com, Melinda Rivera. Welcome, Melinda Rivera.
Well,
I'm so happy to see you again, and you look great, as amazing as you always do.
Oh, thank you, honey. So do you. Thank you so much. I absolutely love coming and having a conversation with you. It's always so meaningful, and it feels really good to get different types of messaging out there from everybody, because everybody in this country right now is in the fight for our lives, and we have to bond together and stand together and fight together, and because we the people, we are stronger. And it's very important that all of us just stay involved. We have to. We've been sleeping for far too long, so we can't do that anymore.
I agree. I think our silence is what got us where we are, and I'm guilty. I'm totally guilty. I was in the state of California. I was outnumbered and outgunned all the time, and it felt as though I couldn't say things because I didn't want anybody to be uncomfortable. I didn't want to talk about. Yes. And now I'm thinking I should have been louder. I should have said more. I should have spoke my mind more and had a backbone. And I feel
like our parents, I don't know about you, but I feel like my mom didn't do it. My mom didn't teach me how to do it. I didn't grow up. I remember my dad, he was always reading the newspaper and always watching the news, and he would always get upset about things, and talk about things. But he was so busy working, and I cannot think back and remember him really getting involved. And so, that kind of just mounted onto us. And we didn't do anything either. We didn't. Yeah. So, here's the thing. We have to now, and I've got 3 grown daughters. You have grown children, and we have grandbabies. So we're now teaching them the importance of showing up to schools and making sure that the kids are, being treated, that they're teaching our children properly, that they're holding the government accountable the way that they're supposed to, things that we failed to do for our kids. And now here we are, racing with time, of socialism to teach that to our kids and to our grandkids.
Yes, we were doing what we learned growing up. When I was a kid, our parents didn't have to go to every baseball game, every little thing we did at school. Now people show up to everything, but also they, as we did, trusted a lot of the wrong people. We trusted the school system. We trusted them with our kids for 8 hours a day. We thought they were learning reading, writing, and arithmetic. I had no idea my kids were being groomed to be liberals. And I blame myself for not paying attention enough.
And groomed to not respect or appreciate this country and what we stand for, and the rich history that led us to be where we are today. And everything that we've overcome in this country, and how we've affected the world as the strongest nation in the whole world, and how we've affected. So we still have a lot of work to do. We still have this generation to save, the next generation to save, and it starts now. Had our parents or our grandparents done more, and I think our great grandparents did a lot.
Yes. They went through a lot more too.
They went through a lot, and this is, I was just sharing with some friends, and I was going to do on my podcast show that I was going to speak about, is our ancestors and our, founding fathers, what they went through to fight any type of entity or rhetoric or anything that takes away what America stands for, and that's freedom.
Mm-hmm.
They were shipped off to fight for our freedoms with guns in their hands. They took our men, they took our boys, and our sons and our husbands to go and fight to ensure that freedom exists. Right now, there are so many things that we can do to fight what is happening. And to me, the biggest problem is social media. These big tech giants as well. They have a power over the people. They have a power of the messaging. They're pushing this socialistic ideologies that's being pushed from the left and the Democrats onto these platforms. They're silencing our voices. They're taking our freedoms, that First Amendment right away from us.
They fought for a colorblind society, and now all they want us to think about is color.
And Congress is doing nothing. They've called Facebook and Google in how many times? Yet here they are, still with a heavy thumb on the people. Yeah. Yet they are also multi-billionaires living the luxurious lifestyle. Come to find out that Facebook donated $412.9 million to the Democrat Party. So they are enabling this type of behavior. They are enabling it. And yet here we are on their platforms enabling them. So I asked people, what is a small sacrifice? It's a temporary one. I understand Trump is coming out with a social media app. I think it's early spring or early 2022. So what are we sacrificing? Well, we're not shipping our men and sons off with guns in their hands. This little thing right here, this phone, is what we have to sacrifice, being on it all the time. These applications, these social media platforms, Xing them out. How do we make them fall? If Congress can't even do it, then we the people have to, this is where I kind of get like a little sad and frustrated, because we the people have so much power.
We have a lot more than we think, I think.
We have a lot of power, Kathy. And can you imagine if we just deleted the apps? That's a small sacrifice. Just delete them. A, it gives us more time with our family and friends. B, it shuts down these, socialist types, Marxist types, communist types, elites that are doing their part. Because if we aren't funding them, then they don't have the money to give to the evil people. The evil, I consider them, they're right there with them. So they fall, right? They lose everything. They are not deserving of what they have with this money and what they're doing to the people. So it's really that simple, but people don't want to give up their social media.
No, they don't. One of the things that I do enjoy about the podcast industry and why I continue to do that is because a friend of mine who encouraged me, Mike, he encouraged me to do a podcast. I said, why a podcast? And most of my audience is not visual, it's audio. And he said, because, Kathy, a lot of people like me don't stay on our phones all day, but we have those phones on Bluetooth and we can listen to a podcast while we do other things.
Yes.
And so that's the advantage. I'm like, that makes so much sense.
Absolutely. And I find that my audience on my podcast, which I'm going to be utilizing a lot more, I've just been so busy. And I'm currently, everybody knows me as the founder of Newmexit and the New Mexico ambassador for Lexit. I'm having to transition out of that side of politics for New Mexico, living in Texas. So much has happened. Our family-owned business has grown tremendously, which takes up a lot of my time. So I'll be handing that over. But I realize that, because I want to be one of them. I'm going to be one of them that will be removing myself from these tech giants platforms. I will be removing myself and I will go straight to my platform. So that way, and I'm still going to bring on guests. I'm still going to be very close in helping in this fight in our country. Yes. But I don't want to be a part of that anymore. I don't want to be that enabler who is, giving them the power to do what they are currently doing and still be able to stay close to my followers and my friends and fellow patriots and things as such. So
I can't wait for Trump to start his new platform. I think it's going to be good for the country. I think that's something we need to be
a big part of the fall of these tech giants.
Amen. Amen. And do they deserve to fall? Absolutely.
They deserve prison, actually.
Yes, especially what they're doing to the young girls. Did you hear about that? That they knew? I was just
going to mention that, and you beat me to it.
Oh, yeah. Tell me what you think of this.
So as far as if we're on the same subject, so as far as to come to find out that they admitted about the trafficking and the young girls that are being used on these on their platforms. But yet I can say something that's not, the nicest towards Kamala Harris because I can't stand her, and I'm deleted in 2.5 seconds. Right? But this type of disgusting evil to our young girls, and as far as like trafficking and everything, and pedophilia and pornography, all of that's welcome. Terrorists can have a page, that's welcome. But
cannibals have a page.
Yes. But I'm going to be
in Facebook jail.
I'm going to be taken off for saying how much I can't stand Kamala Harris, or
that you love your country,
or that I love my country. Absolutely.
Exactly.
And seconds, and I'm booted out. And then to know that this administration works hand in hand with these social media tech giants, they give them the posts that need to be removed. They give them, can you imagine if President Trump had done that? Can you imagine? There would be cities on fire again. I mean,
I got put in Facebook jail for a post that I made, a little meme. And all that it said was, have you ever walked into a room and forgot what you walked in there for? So you had to go back to remember and then walk back into the room. I said, well, don't worry. You were just having a Biden moment and he's running for president. So I got put in Facebook jail for that.
Well, my most recent time I did in Facebook jail was for a post that I posted a year ago. Nothing current. It was from a year ago. So they banned me. I still can't go live. I was banned from going live for 90 days. And that was finally up. And I went on there and it said, sorry, Facebook won't allow you to use this feature to ensure that there's no misuse of it.
Wow. So they punished you, basically.
They punished me because I misuse it.
So they get to punish people? I mean, do the electric company, do they get to punish you? I mean, they can turn off your lights, but they don't get to punish you if you say something they don't like. That's too much power. Yeah, but they're not my parents.
30 that Obama redid, and that's what's protecting them. That is what, so I mean, and I know other countries wanted to ban them. I know other countries have brought them in for questioning, but the real bottom line truth is nothing's happening to them. Nothing is happening to these tech giants. They continue to go on with their deeds.
Yeah. So, and look how they knocked Parler completely out. I mean, that's vicious. That broke all sorts of commerce rules. Yeah.
Absolutely. And they get away with it. Yes. So again, the only way is for we the people to stop. It is a sacrifice. But again, we are not sacrificing our loved ones out the door for months and months of never hearing from them because they didn't have technology back in the day to know if they're dead or alive because they went to war to fight for our freedoms. It's as simple as just stopping, grab emails, go back to, we have to reset this country. We have to reset it. And that means going back to the way it used to be, where we didn't have these cell phones. Call me on a landline. I'll give you my number. Call me on a landline. Here's my email address. Temporarily, so that we can wipe these evil entities out, then so be it. It's a small sacrifice, in my opinion. But again,
the landline that we have, I usually have it unplugged because I get so many sales calls, and every single one of them, it's a sales call. And I've reached my limit of blocking. I've even gone to a federal level of blocking. I don't know what else I can do. It just all day, every day. And I think when you retire, you get more because we didn't get this many before my husband retired. Right. And I think filling out papers everywhere with insurance and Medicare and all of that kind of thing, I think that puts you in some sort of orbit that they just grab your number or something to that effect.
And I agree, that needs to be fixed. That needs to stop. But why is that happening, Kathy? That's happening because these entities have sold our personal information to these types of companies. This is happening now because of Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. They have made billions and millions of dollars off of our private information. That's why we're getting all of these unsolicited phone calls now.
Yeah, it was mind-boggling. One time when we first moved into this house, we were buying a lot of things, and you had to put your phone number on papers all over the place. And my husband applied. He bought some insurance. Oh my gosh! Within a day, we got 100 calls. 100 in one day, and I said, I can't take it anymore. And my husband said, Kathy, just don't answer it. I'm like, but it's ringing all day. I used to have a phone in every room, and I couldn't take it. I yanked them all. Right now, I have one baseline, and sometimes I forget to turn it off. But it's all day, and it's so annoying. And I feel like I'm paying for people to solicit me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. So, I mean, that needs to be fixed, right? We need to fix all of this. But I'm also at a place where I'm really, watching how social media has affected our society in a whole. And being an advocate for just stopping altogether. I mean, our children don't even know how to be social. They're so consumed in their phones and their games that they don't even know how to act in front with people. They don't know how to have a conversation. Adults are starting to lose what it means to be social. Like, I'm so proud of my second daughter. I'm proud of all of my daughters, but my second one's just moving into a new home. And she says, Mom, I finally have room to make my little coffee bar, the way I want it. Yes. And we're setting up that room with tables and chairs so we can have coffee and tea, no phones, nothing, where we are just going to sit, talk, read the Bible, things like that. Like, that's a no phone zone.
That's wonderful.
So that makes me so happy and so proud. And we need more of that.
When we come back from this message, I want to talk about the desensitization of the American citizen with these phones. Because recently a girl was raped on a train in Pennsylvania for 40 minutes, and everyone held up their phones.
My God.
So, we'll talk about that when we come back. Keep on listening to Kathy's Right after this message. And just like that, we're back. And we're back. Let's talk a little bit more about the cell phone situation.
Yes.
Recently, there was a story about a young woman getting raped in Pennsylvania on a train for 40 minutes. And for 40 minutes, the people on the train merely held their phones up to take pictures. I'm thinking, did they just want to go viral? Get paid for that? It's sick.
It's very sick. This woman's being tortured.
Yes, in front of them.
In front of them, and they're doing nothing.
Nothing.
That's how much evil is running rampant within our country and in this world. It is disgusting. And may they all pay and repent for that whole 40 minutes, because the fact that nobody did anything.
And no one was charged, except for the rapist, but no one was charged.
Right.
That's like, if you helping somebody commit a crime as much. I mean, couldn't they hit them with a book or something?
Welcome in these days. Crime has gone skyrocketed, 300+% in all these different areas, cities and around this country.
Spiking. Minneapolis comes to mind. In Minneapolis, Ilhan Omar is saying that the crime spike there is because of dysfunctional police force. Dysfunctional. I'm thinking as in dysfunctional family, like marrying your brother, that kind of dysfunction.
But I mean, do you see the mind propaganda, the mind games that they use and that they are playing to get those that aren't following them? Obviously, we have so many weak-minded people in this country that actually think that that's true and that that's okay. But I want to I would love to have a conversation about, exactly what you just said. I mean, crime has gone up. Is that a coincidence? Is that really the police? Because if that's the case, then we should have seen this spike for the past 4 years.
Right. Could it have something to do with the police precinct being burned down last summer? Maybe
there's a lot of things that come into
and the defunding. They did all of that.
But because of this, because of gaming, because of everything else, we now have a generation of idiots. I'm sorry, but we do. Yeah. We have a generation of people that just don't understand or value the concept of a good life, understanding what it means to work hard, to, to have bills, to be good people.
To love your neighbor.
Yes, and to not fall victim to, these bad things that we watch. I've been posting a lot about, speaking of women and that young woman who was raped, and the fact that the social media will push pornography. Okay. Yeah. We need our young women to, and what this has done, like you said, it has desensitized people to know reality from fake. They look at social media, like social media is not real life. Girls use filters. I mean, we all do. I'm guilty.
Oh, yeah. I'm big on filters.
But it's not real though. I mean,
right. Like that girl.
I don't share all the negative things that happen in my life. So everybody thinks that it's peachy keen, that I'm living the perfect, fabulous life. And we all live a normal life that has its ups and its downs.
Sure.
I have things that, that again, I'm not going to share on social media.
Right.
So when people see my husband and I, or see my family and I, it does not mean it doesn't come with its fair share of drama and issues and problems. And so, but when you are allowed to use social media to entice people, to entice men, these women are enticing men through pornography, through half-naked photos, through whatever the case. Well, guess what's going to happen to innocent women? Mm-hmm. Because now, now we've got a whole generation of men who are pigs, and
they don't know about love because they think everything is pornography like, and real people don't behave like that. No, I think that's disgusting. I have almost 5,000 Facebook friends and like 1,400 followers or so. And every once in a while, when they flash those stories, when they do the stories, there'll be some woman's behind.
I know.
And I'm thinking, I didn't know that about you, dude. You're gone, dead to me, because I'm never wanting to see that again.
No. I see the same thing. And so we live in this fantasy world, and these men that see, and so, I'm constantly telling women, we are all to blame when young girls are being raped, because, we have been pushed as objects of sexuality instead of beings that need to be nurtured
and loved
and cared for.
And these young women don't even know what it feels like to be loved, a lot of them. I think they think of themselves only as sexual beings. I saw this one post that made me cry, laugh at first, but cry, because it read, "I wish I could choose my baby daddy." That's all kinds of wrong. I mean, the grammar, terrible. That tells me that the school system has failed her. It's completely failed her. And then, what do you mean you get to choose? I responded, I'm thinking, what are you, just such a slut? Are you just such a slut that you don't know who the father is? And then look at Maury Povich. There was a girl who came on Maury Povich. I'll never forget her, Mira Posa. She came on 5 times to find the daddy of her babies. 5 times. I'm thinking, can't you? I mean, you have to narrow it down to like 1 month. So 5 times, and none of them were the baby daddy.
I can't. I'm not. But that's this generation.
Oh my God.
This generation. And we can take a look back, Kathy, and recount our steps in history. When did this all begin? And I remember my husband and I going to Fredericksburg, Texas, and we walked into this bar, because everything's still old. I think it's from like the late 1800s, early 1900s. I mean, it's just old school town. I'm sure you've heard of Fredericksburg.
Yes.
And, but they had their license to prostitute still up.
Wow.
So the place was licensed to legally have prostitution in their bar.
Wow.
So how long has this been going on? Where women are just sexual pawns, right? That's all we're good for.
Yeah.
Instead of just, so women throughout the history, now let's fast forward a little bit. I'll never forget, if people have ever seen the story about Flint, the guy who made the Hustler magazine.
Oh yeah, Larry Flint.
And his story. It's a documentary, and the parents, the strong Christian religious parents that went to the steps of that courthouse to protest, to not allow this to be legal, or for our children to get their hands on this type of pornography on a magazine. And I'll never forget what they were saying, that this will ruin our young girls for generations to come. If you allow this to happen, this will ruin. We need to work on our girls that think that it's okay to pose naked for money, to be seen as the sexual being only, because then you aren't respected. Even to this day, men will say, I don't respect that type of girl. I only want to, thank you, ma'am, and leave. So where are men speaking out against this? That's my next question. We don't have enough men talking about the type of woman that they want to marry, the type of women that they respect, the type of women they will take home to their parents. There aren't enough, because they like to see that.
Oh God, I'm terrible. I'm terrible because I get very, I think about movies a lot, because that was my major for a long time. In fact, speaking of prostitution, I worked on the set of Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. Such coincidence. I was just like a gopher kind of thing, but a friend of mine got me that job, and it was all they did was the exterior shots here in Texas. And so I got to do a lot of fun stuff and meet some really cool people. But I remember the people who worked in the cinematographer, and there was even truckers there who got paid lots of money just to stand around, who trucked everything in, and then they stay there all day getting paid $56 an hour. It was amazing. But anyways, I was asked over and over, oh, are you one of the girls? Meaning one of the dancers that were in the movie. I'm like, no, I was young and back then. And I was like, no, I'm not one of them. And then over and over. And it got so bad that I decided that I had to dress down to go to work. Right. So I started wearing my overalls and baggy things. So no one would see that a figure. So they would leave me alone so I could just do my job. But that's what I had to do, because they kept saying, are you one of the girls? I wasn't dressed like a whore. At least I didn't think I was. But the objectification of women has happened for a long, long time. In 1967, I think it was, in the movie, To Sir with Love.
Yeah.
When we come back, I would like to talk to you about that.
Yes.
Okay. 47 seconds left. Oh, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Okay, ready, set, go. Okay. Back in 1967, there was a movie that came out with Sidney Poitier, and he was very handsome. He looked a lot like my father, only my father was way handsomer. And so I loved this movie, and I memorized all of that movie. I love to memorize songs. I even memorized the words of everybody. Like for Casablanca, my lips moved through the whole movie because I know exactly what they're going to say. But in this movie, it's a very short little blip. Sidney Poitier is talking to, I forget the character's name at the time, but she was the blonde girl who had a crush on him. And she said something to him. She said, but, she goes, but sir, this is the first year that women are truly free. And what she was referring to was the pill. That was when the pill became available. And so I think that was kind of a beginning of the downfall of human sexuality in our country, because when people thought there was no consequence to sex outside of marriage, then they started to do it more, and it became more of a recreational sport.
And let's throw in the hip hop, you know,
Yes,
the women and the strip clubs and the money and all of that stuff, you know, and let's start, you know, that's how you change. I mean, it changed a whole generation.
sure, it surely did. And then, of course, we had the Planned Parenthood who provided the birth control, and just in case that didn't work, they had the abortion. So now they can kill the baby. It's just all comes together. It's the same thing. It was the sexual revolution was a lie.
Yeah.
Because all it did was give women more jobs. Now we have to work and we have to raise children and clean the house. We have more jobs. I mean, we have to do everything. And now they're saying, you know, women saying we can have it all. We don't need a man anymore. That's what they're saying. So now you've got all these mothers with multiple children from,
no money.
many baby daddies. And
there was a 24-year-old that just committed suicide because she couldn't, and she put it out on Facebook that she can't do it by herself with these kids anymore. And
children need fathers.
They do.
You know, they need fathers. I know, unfortunately, not everybody gets a father, but I happen to believe firmly that was God's plan, and that's what works best.
Right.
I think that's what works best. I know
that's what we lost in this country. We lost the way of God. I mean, having sex out of marriage was like, you feared the God of doing that back in the day. Nobody fears that anymore. It's just an everyday life. You know, it's just,
and that's sad.
Yeah, and it's really sad because because people don't know how to be emotional. They don't know how to be, you know, connected. And I feel like this is just disconnecting us from each other, you know, a lot, you know, just to my grandkids, to the kids. It's always through the phones. And I mean, even though I'm so grateful, like I said, my daughters and I, we talk on the phone every single morning, every single day. You know, it's always on the phone.
It's a connection. You have to stay connected. And those connections are severed by media. Those connections are severed by abortion. A mother disconnects from her child if she can do that to her own flesh and blood.
Absolutely.
Where is the disconnect? What happened to us as a women? I never got the disconnect because I immediately, when I found out I was pregnant, I was immediately protective of my child.
Me too.
Exactly.
Me too. I was 19.
So the brutality of abortion and even certain forms of birth control are abortificants. They cause abortions, not just the morning after pills.
It's within the home. It's the parenting. It's, you know, in the family. It's how we're raised too. It's the culture. You know, I would have been terrified to abort my baby. Terrified. Like I mean, myself morally, I couldn't do it. But I think that upbringing also about just a great sounding, you know, it was spoken about. It was frowned upon. It was, you know, again, just to have out of marriage sex was terrifying.
It was taboo.
You don't have that anymore.
Yes, it was a taboo. And you were either that kind of girl or the other kind of girl. And that was the way it was. And there's something to be said for that, though, if you think about it, because we had standards. We had higher standards.
Totally.
And integrity. So for me, I can see it going downhill. I feel as though the cows left the barn and these people don't think they can put it back in the barn. So people are going to continue doing immoral things, and they don't even think that they're immoral. And the sad thing is, when I go to church, not any particular church, but I'm talking just throughout the years I've gone to churches all over the world, really. But I've gone to church. I rarely hear them talk about sin anymore. I rarely hear them talk about it. They talk about, even when they talk about abortion, like this month, we're having Respect Life. We had Respect Life Month, and that was supposed to be about talking about abortion. So far, I haven't heard much about it. We have a new priest who does pray for the unborn every single mass, and that's nice. I like that. But before him, I rarely heard anything. In fact, they would turn abortion issue into, we appreciate all life, including the illegal immigrants. Yeah. So how did they switch? How did they turn abortion? I was the pro-life minister for my church for a few months. For my friend Jackie had to take some time off, and I did it for her. And I'm thinking, how come every time they talk about trying to end abortion, they got to bring up the illegal immigrant thing?
Yeah, I know.
Why?
It has nothing to do with anything right now. That's a whole different subject. And, that needs to be, we need to be, as a matter of fact, they were doing a report yesterday about these immigrants coming in and ISIS-K actually using that to come in so that they can, they're our own Pentagon.
If you were an enemy, of course you would use that opportunity.
And Pentagon and officials talking about how ISIS-K can be a threat to causing havoc in our own country within a year. Oh, okay.
I'm sure they're already here.
Protect our border. You're doing nothing to stop them from coming in illegally. So you're just pretty much telling us that, beware. We just got to prepare ourselves.
We don't know if a bomb's going to go off anywhere, but just be on the lookout, because hundreds of thousands of people are coming into our border every month, hundreds and thousands from all over the world. I remember when they switched to the Haitian theme. I remember thinking, reading somewhere that, why are they picking on the poor Haitians? I'm like, well, that's just this month. I mean, last month it was Honduras, and then before that it was Venezuela. We've got people from Angola. We've got people from China even that are coming through that border. There's so many languages now. I mean, at first we had it covered. Trump had a good thing going with Mexico, stay in Mexico. It made Mexico responsible because these people have to cross 2 Mexican borders to get into the United States. Then we got Biden, who had the big invite. You should come, search the border. And that's what they did. They simply are doing what he asked. And that's why they have Biden T-shirts and Biden banners. And Biden, I think, is in cahoots with the cartel.
Biden is in cahoots with every
evil entity you can. Yes, he's in cahoots and forcing us to be partners with the cartel while they traffic human beings across the border, women, children, young boys. It's disgusting.
It's very disgusting. So we have a lot of work to do. And I'm telling you, with the social media, I feel that it's a huge culprit. It's destroyed marriages. Granted, if a marriage is strong, it wouldn't go through the things that it's going through. But because these phones are such a distraction, and because they cause a temporary endorphin kind of happiness push. Right. People are, they're attracted to that, and they think that the grass is greener on the other side. So again, it has pushed us from communicating. It has pushed us from, even talking to our own, loved ones, so that you can work and on problems. And they always think that the grass is greener on the other side, and it isn't. Again, these social media platforms it's fake. It's fake. And
let's not forget Gabby. Gabby Petito? Yeah. She was a social media influencer, and she was traveling across country with her fiance, and everybody thought everything was perfect.
Perfect.
Yes, she was all smiles. Here's us next to a mountain.
Our girl is in heaven now.
Yeah.
And so, we have to untrain. We have to undo, and it's the only way. And it's just, Kathy, it's crazy, but it's just as simple as a couple of delete.
Yes.
And it's done.
And block. Don't forget the block.
So many problems. It would do wonders. That's all it takes. Just delete. And and of course, like I said, I've been giving my email address to those that I'm really close to, my phone number, things as such like that, so that we can stay connected. going to hand out my podcast shows so that people can still come and listen and share the information. But what's important is that, I feel that even politically, the information we're getting out there, it's just doing a vicious circle to the same people that have the same beliefs as us. The only time,
generally speaking,
and that I have a better dialogue with people when I'm face to face with them, when we're actually, being humans and talking to each other, than saying, sharing a post that they may or may not see or may not read or may not share. Mm-hmm. So if we could get away from that and just socialize with people, talk to our loved ones, our friends, a total stranger, whatever, when that happens, you're going to have a way more meaningful conversation, because then people can see body language, they can hear the tone of your voice, the look,
see your smile,
that you genuinely are a sweet, kind, loving person, that you just care about their well-being, our well-being, the well-being of our country and the world. And so, granted, you're going to get those idiots that are just so high strung and just crazy, and they don't want to hear it, and they may fight with you. People get triggered off of a red hat, but I feel that it's the media and the social media that are triggering these things.
Yes. Because
I can have a conversation with a liberal and I'm okay. Mm-hmm. We're okay. It's perfectly fine. We can agree to disagree in such a civil manner. But these right here are causing so much and drama and so many problems, so much division. It's easier to be, behind a keyboard or behind a phone or whatever than to be face to face having an actual conversation. And that's what we need.
Keep on listening to Kathy's Right after this message. And just like that, we're back.
The connection issue, the connectivity. We lost a lot of that during the COVID season, the COVID year, the 2 weeks to flatten the curve that turned into a year.
Lose your job if you don't.
Yes, and people were isolated and staying in their homes and terrified of one another. I'm thinking this terrifying attitude has extended since things are opening up, and the government now feels like they can control what we do, when we go, where we go, how long we can stay outside. Australia, there's some places in Australia where you could only be outside of your home for 2 hours of the day.
Yeah, that's true. And that's heading this way. And our own people are going to be at fault again if we do not straighten this out. And there's other means, there's other ways. And again, I say this, but I feel hopeful that once President Trump's platform comes out, mm-hmm. that, he has the means and the followers and now giving us an outlet where we can actually force these people to fall. Mm-hmm. And it's not just in America. There are people all over the world that love this president. Okay?
Yes.
That absolutely adore him.
You mean President Trump?
Yes, President Trump.
Not okay. Today's president. I'm not even.
Let me clarify.
Yeah.
I'm talking about President Trump's platform and his social media. So I feel that not only the patriots in this country, are going to run fast and far away from Facebook and all this other stuff and go straight to his platform.
I know I will.
The world.
I know I will. I'm tired of filtering out. Because when I set my thing on public, and I'm tired of filtering out haters. There's
a lot more trolls. They get paid to be the resistance.
Yeah. And they come on just to say something mean and ruin people's days. And so I'm a very block happy person. I will get on a roll, and I'll even trigger people on purpose just to find out who to block, to make more room for people who I like. Because I just don't like that.
And that's amazing. We can do that. But are we changing our society? Are we changing those that are sleeping? We're not. So that's why we also have
they don't need the way I put it is, I have such awesome stuff to say. They don't deserve my awesomeness. They can't handle this kind of awesomeness. They can't handle the truth. So they don't deserve it. So I'm happy to do it.
They're going to have to lose everything. They're going to have to be in the pits of, so much dysfunction and toxic, things in their lives.
There's some evil people out there. There are some evil. One of the trolls that I caught, I checked out their Facebook page, and oh my gosh, they were like anti-Jesus. I mean, like blasphemy, like terrible. I'm thinking, what kind of people are they? Who raises people like this? I didn't know that so much evil existed in the world until I got on social media. I had no idea. I was really blissfully ignorant, blissfully
we all were.
ignorant.
And it's another reason why we got to get off.
Now I can't let my granddaughter just play outside by herself. Not anymore.
No.
Now that I know.
But there are these evil people are starting to gain more protection and power to do the evil things that they do because they aren't being reprimanded. People aren't scared.
They're not getting censored at all.
They're not scared of what can happen if I do something bad. There is no more of that. And so the only way to get back our generation is each of us, we have to fix it. We have to really do some soul searching and figure out what is happening that has spiraled this generation into such a dark place.
Yes. I think the whole country needs an exorcism, frankly.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing that'll do it. Jesus has to come now, soon. I mean, please. But we really could use his help.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I pray for it. I do pray for Jesus to come because I don't see another way out of this dump of a world. I say evangelize because I think that if every Christian really made an effort to evangelize and bring the message of Jesus Christ to other people, I think that's a way to do it. My friend Danny, he's baptizing Muslims in Greece right now. He's baptized over 700. And these are Muslim refugees in Greece. So it's amazing. There are people doing that. But just think if one Christian could evangelize 2 more people, right. we could turn this whole world around.
Oh, that would be beautiful. And that's how we, start that fire. And we all have to do it. So I was guilty as well. And I am also diving more into my Bible and making sure that what I'm sharing is bringing people to God and to Jesus Christ and to understand, more than anything else. So I think we all have to make that decision. We all have to come to that realization day by day. What are we doing? What are we speaking about? How are we being an asset to, our situation?
Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's as simple as saying something to someone that you hardly know. Like if they ask you, why do you not like pornography? I said, because it's not good for your soul. It's not good for your mind. And you can't unsee that. I just say it. Don't be shy. I think that is one step. Just say, I think this is wrong. I think this is not good for you. That's a start. Every pebble leaves a huge ripple. And so if I can just be a little bit bigger of a pebble and make a bigger ripple, maybe, just maybe, I can convince somebody else to go to church, go to mass, go to synagogue. This is what we need to do. I think if we as Christians combined our efforts, our prayers, I'm not talking about one world religion because I don't believe that it's required by God, but I think that it would be a great thing if we made that our campaign. Everybody evangelize in your own way.
Right.
Everybody. Every one of us. Not sit on our hands. Maybe they don't have a car. Well, use your phone. There you can use your phone. There you can talk to somebody. And when you say we're talking to an echo chamber, you didn't say it that way, but that's the way I put it. A lot of times, even with the podcast, my husband, he was not a church-going man for most of our marriage, and he didn't really care about it at all. In fact, it annoyed him. And I was always playing these tapes that I got from Catholicity. They had a bunch of tapes about Jesus and the church, and talks about the Bible and what the Bible says. And I would listen to them all day while, doing my other chores and painting. And little did I know he was listening to them from the other room. Now, not only is he Catholic, he's in the Knights of Columbus, he ushers sometimes, but he was listening. So you never know.
Never know. You never know. So it is important, and it is very important that we continue to speak about the goodness, all the good things, all the happy things, all the positive things, because in a world full, it's important still to stay on subject about what we need to be aware of and make sure that we're involved in ensuring that things are copacetic in our lives, with government or whatever. But we also need to be preaching that positive goodness that God gives us and that he creates in our lives.
There are more good people in the world than bad people.
There really are. So we got to focus on that. And so, sometimes I feel like I go through my own stages, and this is just, the direction that my life is taking me in. And sometimes God shows you things that okay, Melinda, you did what I needed you to do here. Now I'm going to pull you back, and I need you here.
So when are you going to start your podcast?
Well, my podcast already, it's been going. Date with Melly. You can find me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and I have so many.
Could you say that again, please?
It's called Date with Melly.
Oh, I like that.
So, I'm bringing on guests, and it doesn't have to be political, but my goal was to always be that bridge to gap the division. If you have a cousin, a brother, a parent, or, a relative or a friend that disagrees with you, and whether it's politics or anything else, I try to be that little, bridge to help bring in the conversation so that we aren't so divided. Most of it is political because that's what we're mostly divided on,
right?
But it's to speak about the issues that are affecting us all, so that we can learn how to have conversations with people. Growing up, it was always you never talk politics or religion, right?
We need to learn how,
and that's probably why we are where we are, is because we never learned how to. And so we need to learn how to respect each other's views, but also to know how to have those disagreements civilly and respectfully, and we don't do that. So it's high time that we learn how to. So that's what my podcast.
So are you like the arbiter of a debate?
I am.
Do you know that is my forte, is debate? Yes. Yes, it is. I did debate all through high school and all through college. I love debate. I know how to debate too. I slay. We should have you on as a guest, but that's my whole goal is to try to help bring people back together instead of being so divided. Try to help each other see the differences, because what, we all, at the end of the day, all of us, we all have the same goal. We want to be happy. We want to be prosperous. We want to be, positive and everything. But how we get there, we all have a different point of view of what that looks like in our life. And sometimes it's just miscommunicated. Sometimes it's not just having the right empathy or sympathy or, things as such. And so I want to be that bridge in that lack of communication and lack of understanding, and hoping that we can get to a place where we can, agree to disagree civilly. Right.
And find that middle ground where we can all move forward and live peacefully with each other.
Thank you, Melinda Rivera. What an excellent guest. I hope she'll come back. She's an amazing lady. God bless America. God bless you. I love you. Bye.